I'm Joss.
Hi, I'm Claudia.
And this is the Let's Get Down to Business podcast.
We're two cousins on opposite ends of the globe with a lot of opinions about figure skating. And we're here to deliver the news, recaps, and give our very first interview on this podcast with one of our favorite people ever!
Hello. Today we are here with literally, I think, the most exciting thing that we've ever done on this podcast.
Yes.
Besides start it. This could even potentially be more exciting than starting this podcast for us.
Yeah, I think I would agree. We had the absolute pleasure of interviewing Mr. Camden Pulkinen, who, oh my gosh, we had such an amazing time, didn't we?
Yeah, we did. It was so much fun.
But if you guys don't know who Camden is, he is the 2018 US Junior National Champion, former world record holder for the highest junior men's short program score, which is dope, and he's the perennial non-black blouse royalty. That is really hard to say, but...
Yeah, in our interview, he talked a little bit about potential plans for next season. He talked about Champs Camp. Just a lot of skating related stuff, obviously, as we are a figure skating podcast. But at the end of our interview, we also did a rapid fire question round where we talked about Pokemon and their hypothetical skating skills, Khan Academy, and philosophical questions. And you will just have to listen to figure out what the heck I mean.
100%. But without any further ado, let's get into our interview with Camden Pulkinen.
Hi, welcome back to the Let's Get Down to Business podcast. We have a very special guest with us today. I'm sure he needs no introduction. But Camden, if you would like to introduce yourself, maybe tell us a little bit about your season this year. Please go ahead. You have the floor.
Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me on the Let's Get Down to Business podcast. I love the name, and the puns will always go a long way with me. So I really my name is Camden Pulkinen. I'm a Team USA figure skater. This past season has been a little bit of a rough one for me, and obviously I can't really complain because I had the opportunity to compete, unlike some other people. So I'm really thankful for just this ultimate opportunity to have competitions and be in a training place where I can actually have access to ice. So this season I went to Skate America in Las Vegas and Nationals in Las Vegas and was an alternate for Worlds this year. So both times at Nationals, I think I underperformed, but I'm really treating the season like a building season and kind of trying to just move past the season because I think it's difficult with all the factors concerning COVID and second year senior. So I'm just looking forward to next year and really taking this off season to train.
Awesome. Sounds good. One of the things that we noted, we actually messaged you on this day, but we want to say happy belated birthday.
Thank you.
21. It's a big one. Did you do anything to celebrate?
I did not, sadly. I traveled to North Dakota and did a show out there / seminar, and it was very nice. And that's how I spent my 21st.
Nice. Not bad for a pandemic year.
Not bad for a pandemic year.
Definitely. But yeah, speaking of the pandemic year, we know it was a challenging year for everyone. But also you did mention it was a challenging season for you. But what positive or small bright spots did you find in the skating world, or even not in the skating world, throughout this pandemic?
Yeah, I think this year it's hard to even say that the skating season was normal because it wasn't. And I think that although the skating season wasn't normal, I had the opportunity to look beyond skating and kind of just look at my own personal development and look towards things that actually make me happy off the ice, like school. I've really taken a big interest in my school and furthered my school more this last 2 semesters by taking more difficult classes and doing some other things along with that. And although it was a terrible year and a lot of tragedy happened, I'm thankful for the silver lining of just getting back to myself and getting back to some lost things that I maybe had lost touch with, like art and school, that would have gotten jumbled in a normal skating season. So that's one thing I'm very thankful for.
That's awesome.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I really have to let you know that I was watching your TikTok the other day and I saw you like painting an Xbox
Yeah.
controller. Oh my gosh, tell me about that. I really want
Uh,
to know about that.
yeah. So one day I was just really bored and I had an extra Xbox controller lying around. So I don't really play too much Xbox as much nowadays. Just pretty like bored of it, honestly. But anyways, like I was like, I might as well like try to make something cool out of it. Like it's just gonna sit around. So I kind of got into this weird thing of just painting all these different like this thing behind me. I painted it. I don't know what it is, but I painted it. So
So
um,
sick.
I mean, I think it's pretty cool. I mean, definitely like I started spray painting like my portable charger and then painting on top of that. So
Nice.
just like finding my own ways to express myself that don't necessarily mean on the ice or a traditional way of painting. Like I was kind of alluding to it, but I start with like a spray paint base layer and then I go over it with a paintbrush and I paint over it. And I'm sure someone's already done it, but I like to think that I thought of it on my own.
Well,
But
you technically did.
technically I did, but technically probably someone else thought of it first. So um so it's been actually nice to just like find other ways to express myself artistically.
That's so nice. We'll patent it on the pod. Okay. Spray painting
Yeah,
and then painting. It's the Camden.
Yep.
All
it is the
Xbox
Camden.
controllers painted that way are going to be the Camden.
Look, I'm impressed with anybody who has that kind of artistic talent because I can't draw to save my life. The extent of my drawing ability is stick figures. So anything looks awesome to me. But during the lockdown, were you tempted to try out? I noticed this thing, it was probably on TikTok as well, or just all over social media, skaters grabbing like roller skate add-ons to their skates, like pick frames or something. Were you ever tempted to try that on when you weren't able to get on the ice?
Yeah, I obviously was really, really tempted to do that, but in my mind, I know that it's not necessarily the exact same.
Yeah.
And for me, I know I like to run before I can walk sometimes. So I ultimately was afraid of hurting myself, and that's why I opted not to. But definitely crossed my mind numerous times. But at the end of the day, I was like, you know what? I feel like I'm gonna like just try to throw a triple axel or something because I think I'm Superman or something, and then break my face. So I didn't did not try that out.
Gosh, a
Definitely.
triple axle on roller skates. Imagine
That would
Oh,
be legit.
your
me was.
driveway.
Oh,
Mom's there. Throw a triple axle next to the Honda Accord.
the things stopping me were freight rates. Shipping to Australia was just not fun. And then the idea of concrete. I'm like, I would much rather throw something down on the ice rather than on concrete because that just doesn't seem nice.
Agree.
That's a kneecap waiting to be waiting to be destroyed. No, thank you. All right. So I guess speaking of skating, like you do, what have you been doing in terms of like technique, anything that you've been working on that you want to maybe improve or look different for next season? What have you been doing kind of through your building season / quarantine?
Yeah, a lot of things I've been focusing on is not necessarily just technique. I think technique is obviously of pivotal importance, but really just being intentional with my training and everything that I'm doing on the ice has a purpose. Because after this last year, I really came to the conclusion that first off, things aren't for certain. Ice time is not for certain, and every time on the ice, it's honestly a blessing and it's a privilege. So every single thing I'm doing on the ice, I make sure it's with intention and it has a focus. So maybe if I'm just doing some doubles, it's working on that technique for triple and quad. If I'm doing some spins, it's to get the spins faster. So I really try to maybe not chart down my goals because I don't like to have like a planner on the ice and write things, but in my head I take before every session and I think, okay, I'm going to work on my basics and then my spins and then do a few program run throughs or choreography run throughs. And that's my intention. So really being intentional with training has proven to be really nice this off season. And I think as long as I carry it throughout these next years of skating, it's going to prove very beneficial.
Yeah,
For
sure.
sure. Oh,
I guess like
jinx.
in terms, oh, sorry, Claudia.
Right.
I was gonna ask, I guess like in terms of ice time, like what does that look like for you now? Like how much ice time are you getting and like how much has that been affected by the pandemic?
Yeah, so we've had a few instances over the past year where we've gone back into a partial lockdown where um, we would have to go somewhere else and get private ice or maybe not even skate at all. But for the most part, I've been really, really fortunate to be in a place where ice time hasn't been affected that much. I'm essentially and have been for this whole year, this whole 2021, I've been at maximum skating. So back to normal skating times and 4 sessions, 3 sessions a day, getting the maximum number of reps I want in. So luckily, I'm in a place that offers that, but also just for concern, I am a little concerned just like because we're fairly open here in Colorado. So um, I am always a little bit concerned about that level of openness, but I try my best to self-regulate and keep everywhere clean and stay 6 feet away from everyone and wear a mask. So I think at the end of the day, that just boils down to myself. And as long as I'm taking care of myself and those around me, then hopefully we can kind of keep this level of training.
We love responsibility. Thank you.
We stand responsibility. Love it.
Yes. So this past season, the majority of competitions were obviously done without an audience. You said in past interviews that you thrive off an audience and that you really like hearing them support you and all of that. Was that always the case? Like, is it something that comes naturally, or was it more of a process to get to the stage where the audience becomes like an extra part of you, or yeah, you just feed off of them?
I think it's so I don't think that it comes naturally. I'll say that. I think that it's I mean, okay, at least I'm speaking from personal experience because I don't know what other people feel. But for me, it never came naturally. I remember at my young ages before 16 or 15, before having any international or even limited national exposure, I remember feeling very, very stressed at competitions, like kind of like I was a fish in a fishbowl while all eyes were just on me. And I think that's a common denominator for most skaters is that they feel that way. And I've really gotten to this point where over the last however many years of being on the international stage, I've learned to accept that the audience is going to have criticism and the judges are, but that's the nature of our sport. And think of it how you may, but that's what figure skating is at the end of the day. It's a judge sport, and it could be your coaches, it could be your peers, your audience, the judges, all of them will just judge you. And it's kind of just being comfortable with that fact that has allowed me to feed off the audience and just accept whatever criticism they have. If they hate the program, okay. But if they love the program, okay. Like it is what it is. You have to take the good and the bad and just run with it. And I think that kind of mentality has proven really effective for me, where now I'm definitely at a place where I'm just like, okay, this audience is there to watch me, and regardless, even if they hate the performance, hopefully they respect it enough just to like give a light clap. So um yeah, in short, it's been tough without the audience. And definitely, like, you guys have been to events, like live events, correct?
Mhm.
Before?
Yeah, totally.
It's a whole different atmosphere
Yeah.
where even if you're not skating great but you're skating good, the whole audience is behind you. Or if someone
Yeah.
skates that performance that is a standing ovation, it's so much more effective than, let's say, the virtual competitions we had where it's like, okay, you skated a clean program. It's
Yeah.
different than
Right.
standing up and really giving you an ovation. So really looking forward to that next year, and hopefully that happens. That's what I think about that.
Yeah, I'm always the person who, when watching skating competitions, will be the one who is yelling the loudest for people, regardless if I know them or not, or just being like, I feel like they need a whoop, so I'll give them a whoop. And I'm not like that at any other like sporting competitions, but with skating, I'm just like, yeah, let's go. And I'm like, I don't know you, but like, you're awesome.
Yeah, I think it's something to say about the figure skating just community in general, the audience of figure skating. I feel like we're just very, I generalize, but I think that the audience of figure skating as a whole is fairly respectful in comparison to other sports, even though we do have our, the people we prefer, the people we don't, the audience members that may be more opinionated than others. But for the most part, I feel like and especially every time I compete in Japan, primarily, I feel
Yeah.
like there's just an overall respect, and that's what I love about our sport is like people respect you regardless if you have a great day or if you fall short. That's just kind of something I feel is like regardless, people are going to clap for you. It's never going to be silent at an event, even if you skate terribly, which I have done many times. Like no one's going to be silent.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
gosh.
the worst. Just finishing and then silence. And you're like, cool.
Right.
Right.
Cool. I mean, it's never going to happen because 0 audience members hate you, Camden.
Oh,
Truth.
that's too
True.
nice.
0. I don't know what you're talking about with these audience members that hate you. 0. But I did want to ask you, how did you feel about the 2D folks, the flat ones in the audience at
Yes.
Skate
Mhm.
America and at Nationals?
Not just folks,
Okay.
animals, a
I
gecko.
will say it. Okay, I will say it. It may seem silly, but
Mhm.
it did prove better than nothing. I think, even though like they weren't actually people, and when you skated near them, you see like the 2D of them. You could see the size of them. They're fake, but I think that there is something to say about just having the feeling of people there, because when you're skating, you're not just like staring at the audience. It's kind of like in your peripherals. You're kind of like in your zone, in your element. So like for me, when I get really into performance, I don't really think of the audience, although I know they're there. So I try my best to tap into that and really just treat them like they were real people, although they weren't because there was a standing gecko in the stands, right? So they weren't real people, but it was still really, really nice to have that, I think.
Oh my gosh, 100%. And maybe we could branch out into other species in our audiences. Maybe this is an untapped, uncharted area in terms of skating ticket sales.
Yeah, maybe it is. Maybe we can start charging for like a bug, like a caterpillar or something.
Pet fee. Pet fee.
Exactly.
Definitely. So we wanted to ask, I know that a lot of your program music has been chosen kind of like from inspiration, for example, like Dennis 10,
Mhm.
who we love Dennis 10. What's like the most important thing that you look for when you're listening to music, looking for something to skate to? What kind of provides that moment for you where you're like, that's the one, feeling that?
Yeah, so it's hard to say exactly what it is because I think every year it would be naive to say that a program goes through the same process of finding its connection to the skater. I think that it's not something that happens in a in the same form every year. It happens very differently. Like for instance, for the program, I one of the songs I'm thinking of skating to this next year, it's I was actually in a coffee shop one time and I heard it and I was like, this is a cool song. So I looked up on Spotify and I saw other versions. So I'm like, okay, I could see myself skating to this. And it's kind of like one of those things that's like I can envision myself doing it, and like you take a second and you close your eyes and you're just like, huh. I'm feeling it. It's speaking to me. It's giving me jitters, it's giving me emotions, and that's the big thing is like it needs to be something that you can relate emotionally to, and maybe not necessarily like that's why I don't really love to skate to um how do I say like character programs like Pirates of the Caribbeans or something along those lines. I don't prefer those because I don't like to act like another character. I like to be myself and
Yeah.
display emotions rather than displaying Jack Sparrow, you know? So, not to say there's anything wrong with that, of course, but just that's not my specific style. So, I try to find programs that speak to me emotionally and kind of hold emotions that I can convey to the audience.
Yeah. So that totally makes sense. I mean, we've got tons of Pirates of the Caribbean out there, some that are great as well. For our pod listeners, we do have our favorite Pirates skater and program. Hello, Alexei Bachenko. That Pirates free skate slaps every single time, we tell you. But no, that totally makes sense. But so some people maybe, let's say, criticize that a lot of the programs that could be skated by you are of the same note and stuff. So how would you go about making sure that there's variation between your short and the long and between seasons as well?
Yeah, well, I think It's hard to say because I think each season there's a different goal just musically. Like for instance, for the Olympic season, typically you don't see skaters who are going outside their comfort zone because it's Olympic season. So you want to do something you know you can do well. So I think that it's really easy to fall into the kind of the pitfall of being in the comfort zone of music and staying with pieces that you can do and kind of musical tones that you can skate to easily. But I think that it's kind of like really up to the choreographer as well to help push the skater. And really, this is where the input of your coaches and the choreographer comes into play, because for us, we can always get really, really just blindsided by something that feels comfortable. And I think that this is where like you really need to bring pieces to other people and say like, hey, what do you think about this for me? Is it too like last year? Are these short and long pieces too similar? And this is where kind of your support system comes into play. But I think at the end of the day, you need to be the one, and I'm speaking to all the skaters out there and any fans or etc. But I think that the skater needs to be the one to initially pick the music and bring it up to coaches and choreographers. Because if it's given to you every single year and they're like, you need to skate to this and this, then you sometimes you may, but most of the time, at least for me, I feel like I won't feel like it's my own. I feel like it's someone else's idea and someone else is telling me to do this.
Yeah, that's completely fair. And so, I guess on the note of choreography, a few seasons ago, the choreographic sequence was introduced into the code of points, replacing the second step sequence for men and the spiral sequence for the ladies. Have you liked this change? If so, what's your favorite bit about it? Do you not like it?
Yeah, I mean, I think I have mixed feelings about this. I think whenever I watch lady skating, I really love seeing a spiral for some reason. And even nowadays, like guys like Jason and not me, because I'm terrible at spirals, like Jason, he has an amazing spiral. So I think that I love that the ISU is giving the flexibility to not do a spiral and do something unique and kind of personal, but also who doesn't like a good spiral? Who doesn't love a spiral, Michelle Kwan style across?
True. Ugh, like, miss those days.
Think, like there's something to say about having like just a spiral on a crescendo across the ice that just like goes on a big S pattern. Like I love that. But also I do like seeing skaters use this choreographed sequence to their ability and do really weird and cool and different things, like all these different jumps that the guys are doing and all these different knee slides that people are doing nowadays. So I think I'm mixed about it, but I do think that at the end of the day, like if you have a good spiral, you should put it in that choreographed sequence.
My gosh, for sure, for sure. So speaking of programs, can you give us any hints on what's coming up for you? No hints. Okay.
Hard pass.
Just the coffee shop. We're just going to leave it at the coffee shop.
Coffee shop, but it might not be the program. It's just something, it's a thought I have.
Yeah. Okay.
No, it's just a thought. It's not the program.
Coffee shop daydream.
Exactly.
That'll be
coffee
the title.
shop lo-fi.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like good. That's literally a Spotify playlist. I think I have.
Yeah.
Coffee lo-fi or something.
Oh my gosh. That's great. Okay. So I guess looking into next season, do you have any plans for, I guess I know you talked about kind of like being intentional with training and stuff like that, but is there anything that you like specifically want to work on? Is there anything that you are looking to incorporate into your programs or into your training, kind of just looking into next season?
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I could just be very generic and plain here and say, I want to add more quads. I want to add faster spins. And that's like the pretty generic answer. And that I think when anyone says that, I agree, but that's a given. You want to try and add more jumps and faster spins every year. But I think for this year, like, I'm trying to think of it more or less, more about myself and less about the programs. I want to find myself through these programs, and I want to really give my authentic self to the audience this year. So I think like it's more about the artistic for me this year, because I feel like this past year I didn't really connect with my free program as well. And that's why I really this year just want to savor the fact that I can hopefully be in front of an audience and really just give myself and just give like my raw, true, authentic, genuine person that I am to this audience and display that through my skating. And that's really what I'm looking for this year through my programs. And I think that's what's really going to garner success, because like I think that like quads and spins, like it's kind of like a direct translation. It's just point A to point B. You get your left arm strong, you get really tight in rotation, you calm your mind and calm yourself, then you're going to do a quad. So I'd rather I obviously those things are really important, but I really want to focus on this more complex, I guess, indirect way to find myself and give it to people. And that may be really confusing, but that's what I'm looking for this year.
No, I completely get you. And is there something that's almost different about like going into an Olympic year, or are you treating it just as just another season that just so happens to have the Olympics in it?
Yeah, I think that, well, this is my first time actually competing on an Olympic season at the senior level. So I think for me, I would rather not be naive and say that there's no Olympics and just treat it like regular. I'm always the type of person that looks very, very far ahead and very short-sighted and long-sighted. So I try to magnify my lens from really small to all the way up. So then I'm kind of having a timeline for everywhere. So obviously I have plans and I would love to compete at the Olympics, but it's something that takes incremental steps. It's not just about that nationals, it's about the Grand Prix. It's about what I did last year. It's about what I did 2 years ago. It's about so many things. So it's naive to say that there's like, it's just another season. And I know it's Olympic season, but I'm accepting that stress. And I think that, yeah, I probably will be a little more stressed this year because there's a possibility of going to the Olympics, but like, I'm ready for that stress. And like, I love that stress. And that's why I skate, is because I love being in stressful situations. And
Yeah.
then that feeling when you do something against all odds and nail a program when you didn't even think you can do it, or maybe ace an exam when you thought I only studied for 20 minutes. Like, those are the feelings I crave, because it's like,
Yeah.
dang, I just proved to myself that I am way more than I thought I was. So really, like, I'm excited for this stressful season.
Yeah. And do you think that your experience at the Youth Winter Olympic Games, that was more of a mouthful than I had predicted, has helped? Or was it just kind of, just a great moment, but you're just really looking forward right now to senior, I guess?
I think, okay, so I've talked to a lot of Olympians, and I've talked to some people that went to both youth and senior games, and there's just, although the youth games are very, like, I remember it just being such a shock and such like an amazing experience, because it felt like the Olympics. But there is a distinct difference from what I'm hearing, is it's just like everything is magnified once you're at the senior games. So I think that if I went to the senior games this year, I think it would help a lot, that experience. But also, like, I can only imagine the stress of media, the stress of being at an Olympics and competing, representing your country. I can only imagine that. And it's kind of one of those things that's like, I can speculate, but I really won't know until I get there.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I feel like everything that you're talking about, I work in mental health as my day job. Not that this is my night job. This is just a fun thing. But anyways, everything that you're talking about in terms of just like expression, kind of looking at skating from like a holistic, expressive perspective is totally just kind of like on par with a lot of things that I'm hearing that people have just kind of like realized about themselves throughout the pandemic. It's just kind of like looking at the big things, but also realizing like, am I bringing my authentic self to this experience? So I appreciate it from a mental health perspective.
Thank you. I think bottom line, mental health is the most important. And like, if I'm not in a good mental state, and even if I was winning all these competitions and such, if I'm not in a good mental state, I'm not really winning, because it's like your mental health is the most important thing about yourself. I mean, obviously physical health is really important as well, but your mental health and physical health kind of work in a symbiotic nature. So it's like, I really need to take care of my mental health. So really just this, I agree with what you're saying with like during the pandemic, like a lot of people have found their true and authentic self. And I think that's another really great silver lining from this last year.
my gosh.
For sure.
Put it on a poster. Mental health and physical health work in symbiosis. Camden Pulkinen, 2021.
Mwah, chef kiss.
Love it.
I would buy that poster.
we'll be your first customer.
All right. So did you guys have a Champs Camp this season? Can you tell our two listeners about Champs Camp? Like, how much does it help in preparing for the upcoming season? And how much does it influence how programs evolve and all of that?
Yeah, so this last year we did not have a Champs Camp, sadly. I think that Champs Camp is really important because just like any time you're going to go out to compete, it's really important to get that feedback. And especially with new programs and a new program layout, whatever it may be, I think Champs Camp is the most important competition, honestly, of the season. Competition. I guess it's a mini competition, but not the most important, but it's very important because like you have all the judges there, all the officials, everyone's there just to criticize you, which although sounds like it sucks, it's actually very necessary because if you don't like your programs, Champs Camp is the time to change it because that's early enough in the season that's not too late, but also not too early that you don't get a chance to try it for yourself. So Champs Camp, I really was sad that didn't happen last year, but I'm excited for this year because with these two new programs, I really am looking forward for that feedback and just to like kind of, it's also fun to just be a part of like Team USA and like have all your friends with you there. And although there probably will be limitations this year with Champs Camp as we're still in the pandemic, it's always really nice to see everyone, even if there's masks around, doesn't matter. It's like, it's nice to be in that atmosphere of like, kind of like a team. In such an isolated sport, Champs Camp is like really the opportunity to just feel like a team and really be proud to represent our country.
Yeah, that definitely sounds awesome, especially seeing so many people that you probably haven't seen for quite some time as well. So that's really exciting. When does it normally get held?
Yeah, end of August is usually when it happens.
That's going to fly past. I was like, oh, April, it's so far away. And then I realized I still think we're in March last year. So
we're all stuck in March of last year still. All right. Sounds good. Well, we have some rapid fire questions for you. So these are kind of just like fun, random questions.
I gotta prepare myself.
All right.
That's okay. Like
ready to think
it's
quick.
Rapid fire.
Right,
we haven't defined how quick that is. So take your time if you want.
Okay.
All right. Okay. We're gonna start off with a
relatively easy one, right? So what skating music warhorse do you secretly want to skate to?
Wow, I'm really doing great with this rapid fire. Romeo and Juliet for sure.
Are you sure it's not Pirates of the Caribbean?
Look, there's so many choices. You've got Rio soundtrack that was skated to this season. We've got Tom and Jerry.
Also, Exogenous Symphony from Muse is also a skating warhorse nowadays, and I think that's a really good one as well that I'm thinking of now.
That's beautiful.
That's legit. Okay. So Jack Sparrow short program, Exogenesis long program.
I mean, it would provide that contrast, right?
The range.
So we could talk about the contrast.
Yeah.
Romeo and Juliet, solid though.
Yeah, very solid. Okay. The next one is a little bit more out there. What Pokemon do you think would be the best at? And I have a few of these, okay? What Pokemon do you think would be the best at spins?
Ooh. Okay, I don't know how Pokemon in depth you guys are, but I'm very
extremely.
Yes.
Okay,
extremely.
I think Hitmontop.
Oh my gosh, yes. Fair. That is, yeah. Nice.
That's the one. Also, maybe a ball toy.
Oh, ball toy would be good too. Ball toy, yeah. Or Ditto, because then he could be both. Or she.
Oh, that's very true.
True.
Very true.
I'm just trying to imagine Ditto doing spins right now. +5s.
He can transform into anything though, so.
Truth.
There you go.
That is true. What Pokemon would be the best at jumps?
Blaziken.
Oh, all right.
What do you think?
I can vibe with that.
I don't know.
Are you doubting our guest, Claudia? That's
No,
rude.
no, as in like, what do I think? What would I pick? And I don't know. I'm not doubting Camden at all. No, it's good. It's a good answer.
What do you think, Jocelyn?
All right, just making sure. Oh, now you're putting me on the spot. Like an Entei, maybe?
Oh, Entei would be cool. I could see that.
Yeah, any of those kind of like dog legendary Pokemon in that range.
Ooh.
Yeah. They could all jump high, I think.
Yeah. All right. What Pokemon would be the best at the step sequence / choreo?
Oh man. I don't know. Okay. There's a new Pokemon, Scorbunny. That's what it's called, Scorbunny.
Oh my
Score
It's a new
bunny.
one. It's like really fiery. It's got like really quick feet. It's like
Oh my
every
god.
time it
Nice.
moves, it like has fire. So I think that would be the one.
I'm
That's
very
actually-
familiar with Scorbunny.
No, those are
Scorbunny.
great. That's great. Okay. If you could claim one program from any skater ever as your own, which program would it be and why?
Oh man. Okay. Wow, you give me a lot. Okay, I don't know what year she skated this, but I will say Yuna Kim's or Kim Yuna's program of what was it? It was James Bond.
Excellent.
Gotcha.
That was fire. That was so good.
That was like, okay, I always used to only watch like men skating growing up because I used to think that, oh, I can relate to them and stuff, and oh, women's skating is boring. But that program brought me into ladies skating, and I was like, that is ice skating right there. So I pick, yeah, that one.
Excellent choice.
That is a very good choice. 10 out of 10. Along with all 3 Pokemon choices, also 10 out of 10.
Oh, good.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. What was your most memorable skate / like skate at an event, junior or senior, whatever?
Yeah, I think my most memorable was Skate Canada 2019, the short program, because obviously like I was really stressed for that comp because it was my first senior Grand Prix, and I think that adds a whole dimension of just general stress. And I watched the practices and I got on my practice, and no one was like making mistakes. Everyone was really good at like skating, and I'm like, okay, this is what it's like to be at a Grand Prix. You're not at like a junior Grand Prix where there's like 37 skaters. Okay, You're at a Grand Prix with the 12 of the best skaters in the world. So I remember for the short, Hanyu skated after me, and for the long, he skated after me actually. But I remember starting my performance, and then as soon as I started, I like kind of like looked over in that direction, and then he was just like standing there watching me, and I was like, oh God, Olympic champ is staring at me. So I was like really stressed, but it's like I said earlier, it's those moments that where you feel like you can't do it or you're doubting yourself, and then you have that deep knowledge and that training behind you to really just prove to yourself that everything you thought in your head that you can't do it, it's all garbage. It doesn't matter because you did it. So
Yeah.
really like that performance. That would definitely be the most. And I was placed in second behind him, and I got my personal best score. So it was just like a really great event there, and I loved that one.
You in the kiss and cry was amazing. That was so good. So good.
It's like I didn't know how high I could score. I didn't know how they would place me because first year senior, they have every right to say, okay, first year senior, let's put him in like 5th or 4th or something. But they put me ahead of a lot of like experienced people, so I was like freaking out.
And then Hanyu just going, yeah, your triple axel's pretty dope, and complimenting you like that. That must have been like insane.
Yeah, I fanboyed a bit, but it's okay. I mean, I think it'd be a lie to say that no one really like fanboys over him a little bit, or at least has a level of respect for him. He's done so much in his career. So just like even just being in the press conference with him is an honor, and even competing against him is an honor. And like, I'm thankful for the opportunities I have and I get.
Yeah, for sure. That was definitely like one of my highlights of your career. Loved watching you skate to that. I was like screaming watching it live, not in the audience, but like virtually. Okay, next quick fire question, because these are very quick fire at the moment. Choose
real fast, guys.
real fast. Choose a skater to skate ice dance or pairs with you.
Okay, Meryl Davis.
Ooh, and why is that? Good choice, but why?
I don't know. She just is so gentle and so sweet that, like, you know, it's like when I think about like partner skating, dancer pairs, I think it's a lot more about, not more, but it's about the person. It's about your connection with the person as well. And I think that she couldn't hurt a fly, and I think that's really admirable that she has that really just generous and friendly nature to herself, and she's very soft and caring, and I would love to skate with her. Love to do dance with her.
Yeah. That's an awesome answer.
Yeah, Meryl Davis would totally be high up on my list for a dance for sure. And also, I love her dog.
Oh,
big fan of Sheepadoodle Bilbo.
Yeah. Who doesn't?
Have you ever met her dog?
I have not, sadly.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's on my to-do list, though.
It's on your to-do list. Mine too. Okay, next question. Where have you not traveled to yet that you are really raring to go to?
Australia, right there.
Yes, thank you.
I've never been there. I want to go sometime, maybe for 4 continents.
2023.
Maybe.
We'll be there. You better make it, Camden. We're counting on you.
Okay. I forced her to come over as well. So
yep. So I'll make it, and while I'm competing in the program that will hopefully make me go to 4 continents that year, I'll be thinking of you guys.
Awesome. Coffee shop daydreams.
Exactly.
Coffee shop daydreams. All those coffee shop daydreams. That's what it is.
Yeah. That's what
Any other places that isn't the cop out that is Australia?
I haven't really been to South America.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an awesome place.
I've never been beyond that. I've always wanted to go to like Brazil or Argentina. I think that those are really cool places. I also believe Peru has some really nice mountains there, and I've always just wanted to go to South America and see what it's like.
I haven't been myself, but it looks amazing. So I completely get you. All right, next question. Do you have a plushy tissue holder? If so, what is it? If not, then get on it. But what plushy tissue holder are you going to manifest for yourself?
I do not have a plushy tissue holder. I am actually the worst with bringing tissues to you guys. I always forget. So like, I feel like if I had a plushy tissue holder, I would forget that as well. I'm usually like really just like organized. I'm like, I need my water, guards, towel, gloves, whatever. I'm like ready for the rink, but I never bring tissues. I always forget them and I have to borrow other people's. So I can't really manifest one, but I think it'd be cool to like, I mean, obviously like, I'd like to have like a little Pikachu tissue holder. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah. I think like, maybe like, I don't know why I'm thinking of this, but maybe like a tissue holder with like fidget things on it. You know, you ever seen like the fidget cube?
Yeah.
So that's like you go to the boards and you're like stressed and you grab a tissue, wipe your nose, and then you're like fidgeting with like a little clicker or something.
Oh,
like,
nice. My gosh.
Patent it. That's it.
Another thing we need a patent.
We're
you have
big
so
fans.
many business ventures right now.
Yeah, exactly. So many. We're big fans of those the fidget toys. But yeah, I was the complete opposite when I was skating. I would remember everything except my water bottle, which was like, maybe that's something that it should be an essential list, Claudia, just water for hydration, but I always forgot it.
Basic needs, water and fidget toys.
Yeah.
Yes.
There we have it. All right, next question. What's the weirdest thing that you've either been thrown after a performance or program, or what's the weirdest thing that you've seen?
Oh man. Trying to think. I've gotten a bunch of I wouldn't really say weird. I wouldn't really say weird. but I will say they're just really unique. I really like how like sometimes people throw stuffies with like your costume on it.
Yeah.
I've gotten a
Oh,
few of
yeah.
those. I can't really think of any like weird things I've gotten, but those are definitely unique, and those are ones that like I really appreciate because it's like, wow, you went through that time and effort to recreate my costume, and that's like it's just it's really sweet, and I really do enjoy those ones. Those ones like those ones always make my heart happy. So can't I really can't think of any weird ones, but that's probably a really nice one.
For sure. Those are always so cute. And I'm like, yeah, you did put in so much effort and this is amazing.
Yeah, and I like barely know how to like knit or anything or
You can paint.
I know, but I you should see me sew. I don't know how to do it. I'm really bad at it.
I guess
I
segueing though. Oh, sorry to cut you off. Did you want to include
oh
something?
no, I was just gonna say I'm so bad.
Oh,
Oh my gosh.
Joss is just like, oh God. And I'm just like, respect for that pun.
Claudia gets me.
It's true. It's true.
The bad pun to make other people cringe, that's an activity that I really enjoy. But speaking of stuff you're good or not good at, we know that you have gotten into cooking during lockdown. So what's the favorite meal that you've learned to cook?
My favorite meal I've learned to cook is avocado toast. And it's not really cooking, but I
Yes.
will say it's a lot of like
It's
prep.
prep. It's prep.
And if like for me, I don't just make avocado and toast. I like go all out. Like I either put on like a nice pumpernickel bread, and then I put
Pumpernickel bread.
avocado on top, and then I put lime juice and salt, and then I cook an egg, put an egg on top, put arugula, spinach, and a little bit of spicy mayonnaise.
Oh my
Like,
god.
Spicy. Thank you, spicy. Oh,
like
that sounds amazing.
that's the way to go. So if you ever want to try something,
I
ingredients
guess I'm going to Safeway after this.
you
That
should.
sounds great.
I'm going to
right.
throw Joss under the bus, but spicy mayonnaise is a condiment, so she doesn't like condiments, but
I don't like condiments.
I'll take all of your spicy mayonnaise. I know. She doesn't
What?
like condiments, and I'm just like, condiments, everything.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, I'll take it all. Like, how do you not like it?
I'm
confused.
sorry. I think that okay, no, this is my excuse. I think that food, when cooked in their rawest and purest form, if you prepare them well, they can be very tasty.
Mm, true, but they can be tastier with condiments.
Maybe I'll be a condiment convert.
Yeah, you'll have to try it.
Okay.
You'll have to try Camden's patented avocado toast.
Yeah, another thing we're gonna patent right there.
Mhm.
There it is. There it is. You can have a whole merch line. Fidget
Exactly.
toy, tissue box holders, and avocado
Really
toast with
just
spicy
like
mayo.
sporadic there with avocado toast thrown in there, huh?
Yes, absolutely.
I'm a big fan of avocado toast, though. There's so much you can do with it. Okay.
Yeah, and it's really healthy actually. Like you get
Balanced
your protein fat
macros.
from avocado, and if you throw
Mhm.
an egg on it, it's protein right there, carbs, it's high in, like really good.
We love that. All right, Joss, last question.
Okay, last question. Throughout the pandemic, do you have any current new media obsessions, books, movies, TV? What you doing?
Okay, I don't really have any right now. I'm actually not much of a big like media person, like watching TV and such, but a really good TV show that I watched recently was WandaVision. I'm sure a
Yeah.
lot of people have seen it, but the first few episodes for me, maybe it's because I'm 21 and I was born in 2000, but I couldn't get past the first few episodes. I was like, this is terrible. I don't understand any of the references. Difficult, but then I like forced myself through to the fourth and third episode,
Yeah.
and oh my gosh, like that series is so good. I think that it's just like it's so unique to me
Mhm.
that like their concept of the show and their concept of just like the storyline was really weird and cool, and I loved it. I wish that they can like do a season 2 or something.
For sure. I mean, it's Marvel, so they're most likely going to. But I mean, if you're not really much of a huge like TV, movie, media person, any video games, or even if it's not like new media obsession, just like, I don't know, some obsession.
What have you been doing with your
What
life?
do you obsess over?
What do you obsess over?
I'm kind of like a workaholic. I like to just sit at my desk and like crunch numbers. Like I have a weird like
Speak my language.
I just have a weird like knack for like looking for numbers, and sometimes I literally, this is gonna sound really nerdy and really just probably gross, but I sometimes just go in like Khan Academy and look at like differential equations or something and just like sit there and just like have it playing, and I'm just like, huh, that's pretty cool. And then like after that, then I'm like, I have to go for a run and get my head out of like out of
My mother is never watching this interview. I'm not sending it to her. She's going to have very high expectations for me, including watching Khan Academy in my spare time.
like, okay, it's not even just like Khan Academy math equations, like that's part of it, but also just like there's a lot of great YouTube videos that ask a lot of existential questions.
Mhm.
So it's kind of like what is the meaning of, like I always like to look at things like, what is the meaning of life? Like, are humans inherently good or bad? Like, what is our purpose? Do we have a destined path, or is it or do we create it for ourselves?
Philosophy.
And I always like philosophy. Yes, exactly. Like, I think that question about what it means to be human is like, it's probably the best question, the best rhetorical question for anyone to ask themselves. And I think you ask 100 people, you get 100 different answers. So I think like there's a lot to be said about yourself when answering that question. So I literally just sit and I ask philosophical questions. It sounds really terrible. I'm sorry, guys.
No, it doesn't. You are in good company. I'm just like, yep. I
mean,
completely
we have
vibe
many
with that.
facets. We have fidget toys, Pokemon, philosophical questions, Khan Academy.
But the thing is, those philosophical debates that you have with like friends and stuff, those are the ones that often last until like 2 a.m. and you're just sitting on your couch. You're not like, no substances are in you apart from water and like Uber Eats food. And you're just sitting there debating stuff. And then you realize, oh, it's 2 a.m. But like, I don't know, it's just so satisfying. That's my nerds screaming out.
I think also like it just, another thing that I said earlier that I think needs to be emphasized is that it really shows like people's true thoughts and their character. And I think it's like a great icebreaker in any type of like relationship, is like asking one of these questions like, hey, what does it mean to live? And I think like they may be like, what? You're weird. Why are you asking me this? But like, also like if they like respond and they're like, oh well, I think it means this and this, but then maybe this and this, then it's like, okay, they have a level of deep thought that I want to be friends with you.
Yeah. And then like growing through that, going, oh, you make a good point, that kind of influences me too. So that's always fascinating.
Exactly.
We love that philosophical obsession
and existentialism.
Yep, existential rhetorical questions.
Say that 5 times fast.
Too many big words
once, for. So I'm gonna try 5 times.
Too many big words for 6:30 at night. Oh my gosh! All right, I think that is the end of our rapid fire question list, and also maybe the end of our interview. Yeah. So I guess. Last question. Is there anything, that you want to say to wrap up? Is there anything that you're doing this summer?
Anything like on plans, shows, or anything? Tell people what you've got going on.
Nothing for now. I'm just really taking the time to enjoy this off season and really get a good break before this stressful season ahead. So
for sure.
Yeah, thank you guys for this call. I really appreciated being with you guys, and I'm wishing you the best. And next time we're all together, we'll have to debate philosophical questions with each other
over avocado toast.
Yeah.
For sure. Thank you so much for taking the time out to talk with us. We had so much fun. We hope we can do it again.
Yeah, me too. Thank you guys.
So that is it for our interview with Camden. Obviously, like we said at the beginning, no need for introduction. But honestly, it was an absolutely amazing experience. Thank you so much, Camden, for coming on the podcast. We will also put all of his social media down in our show notes as well. If you're not already following him, which P.S. you should be. And if you're not, You will definitely want to after this.
Yes. All right. So I'm Claudia, and come chat with us at Lutz Get Down Pod. That is Lutz Get Down Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And if you want to work with us, shoot us an email at lutzgetdownpod@gmail.com.
If you like this podcast, and well, if you also like Camden Pulkinen, please leave us a review and give us some 5-star love. We would really appreciate it. Thank you all so much for listening.
Bye.